Hey, I'm Kitty Hawk. Last year I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail. I began on May the 24th and finished on October the 7th, which was 137 days. Let's talk about the gear that worked and what didn't work. Z-Pack Arc Air Dyneema 50 liter. I used one like this on the Appalachian Trail 2 years ago, and it broke twice. The first time Z-Packs repaired it and sent it back to me. The second time was near the end of the trail, so I didn't even bother telling them until I got home. I sent them a picture and they immediately sent me this pack, which I used last year on the Pacific Crest Trail. Worked perfectly, no problems. I'm going to use it again this year on the CDT. Tent. Z-Pack's Triplex. That's a 3-person tent, plenty of room. It's like a hotel. Only weighs 22 ounces. Add stakes, another 4 ounces or so. I love this thing. I actually did a video of some hacks to make it even more user-friendly. You can watch that video on my channel. So, enjoyed it. Would use it again? Absolutely. In this Dyneema sack, I keep my Z-Packs 20-degree quilt. Yes, I'm a fan of Z-Packs. I did not use a pack cover. I did not use a pack liner. This is the only protection I had from moisture or rain. It hardly rained at all. I never needed to worry about anything. The quilt was wonderful. No problems. I used this Sea to Summit pillow. Very comfortable. No issues, no problems. Loved it. I carried a cloth, a sweat rag, whatever. It's pretty long, but that way I could reach without any problems. Also carried the Garmin Mini InReach. Never had to use it, thank goodness, and hopefully never will. Air mattress. This time I used the Nemo Tensor Insulated. I used the full size one, 25-inch long, squared. Very comfortable. I like it probably a little bit better than the Thermarest X-Lite, but yeah, not that much difference. I also carried a ground cloth, a piece of poly. I got it at Lowe's. It was 3 or 4 mil, so actually pretty thick, and it lasted me the entire Appalachian Trail and the entire Pacific Crest Trail. Pretty beat now though, so I'll probably get a new one. All right, trekking poles, Black Diamond, Shock. Forgot the exact name of them, but the gist of it is that this section here gives, it's kind of like a shock absorber, so it takes even more pressure off of your shoulders, up your arms as you're using them. The only problem I had was sometimes this piece would not lock in place, and all of a sudden it would collapse on me, and that was very inconvenient. It happened to me on the Appalachian Trail. I got another pair thinking it was a fluke. Happened on this pair also. So next hike I'm going to use something else. They were okay, but not great. Umbrella. Love my umbrella. This is the 6 Moon Design, 6.9 ounces. Of course, it's good for rain, but most importantly on the PCT, it's good for the sun. I was always walking in the shade, and when I was taking a rest, like an afternoon siesta or something, and there's very little tree cover, I could still stick this on the ground here beside me and cover most of my body. Very, very handy. Clothes that I wore on trail. I wore the Jolly Gear sun hoodie. and loved it. Very comfortable, does a great job. I'm going to keep wearing it. I wore a pair of shorts. These are Russell athletic shorts. I think I got them at Walmart. Used them on the Appalachian Trail, used them on the Pacific Crest Trail. Great job, got pockets. Had to sew the holes in the pockets probably a half a dozen times, but they got their use out of them. For socks, I wore Injinji toe socks and a pair of Darn Tough socks over top of that. And then for shorts, I started off with a pair of wool underwear, and then after they got pretty wore out, I switched to these Sacs underwear, and they were good. Other clothes that I took with me. Well, first of all, I keep my clothes in this day pack, little nylon, weighs, I don't know, 2-3 ounces that I got on Amazon, and can use it as a pillow if you want to. I use it as a day pack whenever I slack pack. Whenever I had the opportunity to do that, worked great. Rain jacket, didn't need it much, but it was good to use as a wind jacket. This is a Z-Packs Vertex jacket, 5.5 ounces. It's okay. Puffy. I have an Outdoor Vitals down puffy. Worked fine. Enlightened Equipment wind pants. If it was really cold and windy, these things worked really well at keeping me warm. And they only weigh like 1.5 ounces. Kilt. Since it didn't rain, I didn't really need to use this kilt, but it came in handy anyway. When I was doing laundry in town, stripped down to the buff, put this thing on, and keeps me presentable. And I could also throw it on the ground and use it as like a little ground cloth if I wanted to set my pack down or something and get it dirty. So. And that weighs like 3 ounces. When I got to Washington, I bought this pair of wool socks as sleep socks. And it was because every night I was cleaning all the dirt and gook off of my feet and legs. And it would take like 20 minutes because you get pretty dirty out there. And I saw these things in a Cracker Barrel convenience store, and I thought, instead of spending those 20 minutes, I'll just put these things on and they'll protect my quilt from all the dirt and gook on there. And it worked fantastically. Saved me a lot of hassle. Wouldn't carry that normally, but in the cooler weather, it was good. I take an extra pair of Darn Toughs and an extra pair of Injinji toe socks. Bug net, almost never use this, but a couple of times the mosquitoes were so relentless, or flies, in the northern part of the Sierras, Northern California. It really helped. Again, I only used it maybe 2 or 3 times, but it was handy then, and it weighs less than 1 ounce. So there's that. Food. I kept all my food in this op sack, no smell, no odor, whatever sack. Seemed to work fine. Nothing really more to say about that. Everything fits in there. I never had any animal issues. Of course, in the Sierras, you do have to use a bear canister, which fit fine in that Z-Packs Arc Air. No issue. I don't cook. I don't cold soak. I just want to open up a package and eat. I don't want to have to do preparation, with the exception that I do protein shakes. So I'll pour water in here, pour in the protein powder. Sometimes I'll add some Swiss Miss to, go from vanilla to chocolate. throw in some coffee in the mornings, mix it all up, and I would do this 2 or 3 times a day. Look for protein powder that has the most fats and carbs in it. You know, the choices that you find at the store, take the one with the most well-rounded nutrients. Titanium spoon. Smart water bottles, I carry 2. I normally only carry 2 liters, even in the desert. I walk fast. I camel up whenever I get to a water source. 2 liters would last me 20 miles. Never really had many issues. Getting into camp, whatever the last water source was prior to camp or the water source at camp, I'd take like 3 liters or something, so that way I'd have enough for dinner, rehydrate, drink during the night, breakfast, and then camel up for the next morning, so 3, even 4 liters. But during the day, never carried more than 2. At night, I use the Nalgene Canteen. I got this idea from Kelly Hayes Hikes, and this thing works great as a pee bottle. That way you don't have to get up in the middle of the night, you don't have to get out of your tent, fight the mosquitoes, you don't have to worry about other people camping around you. Do your business inside your tent. Great. Toiletries. Of course, I got my deuce of spades. Got hand sanitizer. I use a bidet. Stick this in your water bottle. Squirt cleanup business there. Just in case. I also bring wipes. Sanitation. Water. Besides the 2 water bottles, at first I started with a Katadyn Be Free water filter. Works great. I love it. Eventually, though, it got so clogged up that I had to get another one, and there wasn't another one available. What was available was the Sawyer, and I've used this many times before also. Works great as well, so no big deal. I still had my Katadyn bottle, which has a wider mouth than the Sawyer bottle, so it makes it easier to scoop water. And I did carry 1 Sawyer bag as well, in case, you know, like I said, when I got into camp or something, I wanted to have 3 or 4 liters. I'd use those for that. Ditty bag. 6 Moon Designs, little nylon thing. I think it weighs about 1 ounce. I have a Flextail rechargeable air pump for my air mattress. Weighs like 2.5 ounces. Never ran out of charge. Works great. Pumps the sack up in, you know, a minute or less. Works wonderful. Saves me a lot of hassle. Charging up all my stuff. My phone, my battery bank, my Garmin, that air pump, my headlamp. I was worried that there would be lack of outlet space because of all the hikers that might be at a spot, and I didn't want to spend hours and hours and hours and hours charging stuff. So I bought this 100-watt charger, 4 ports, and it actually worked great. I was able to charge 4 things at the same time at fast charge. If there was, you know, limited outlets, well, I only need 1. Usually I could be charging some stuff and still have a port left over, and a friend would pop in to use this thing too. The only problem is that it's 11 ounces. And I was not a fan of that, but it did work great. I was happy with it. However, on my next hike, I'm taking this 65-watt 3-port little gizmo, and it only weighs 4.3 ounces. So hopefully that'll work out well for me. I did have a battery bank. This one's 8,000 milliamp. I didn't have to use this that often to charge stuff, but when I did have it, didn't need it, it was there, it did its job. Of course, I had cords for everything. I had C to C connectors, type A to C connectors, type A to mini plugs, so I could cover all the bases. I took a Hero camera, and I have to admit that this is something I sent home. Yes, it takes great pictures. Yes, it has great motion stability, but I was finding that the hassle of getting it, I tried to keep it like on all the time, like strapped to my pack, but it kept falling off and hitting the ground. I actually cracked lens cover, not the lens itself. And then having to transfer things from this to the phone to do editing. I just said it's too much for me. I sent it home, didn't use it. Headlamp, the Nitecore NU25. This is the old one. Worked great. Only a couple of times ran out of charge. And it surprised me whenever that happened. And I wasn't very happy about that. But I had my phone, so I could use the flashlight on my phone. In general, it works fine. First aid and repair kit. Not too much to it. Pills, naproxen, Advil, a couple of Tums, a couple of Benadryl, all of which I never use. Just every once in a while I'd use a naproxen. Band-Aids. I did get blisters in the desert, which really surprised me because I got 0 blisters on the Appalachian Trail. So I had some, blister patches, blister Band-Aid patches. I tried, these little rings to provide a little cushioning. Something that surprised me and worked really well, found this in a hiker box, was this lidocaine patch. So I'd open this thing up, just take my scissors and cut off a little piece to cover my blister and not feel anything all day. It actually worked fantastically well. So I always carry one of these now with me. Let's see here. I have some repair tape for Dyneema for my tent or my pack. I have patches for the air mattress, which had to use a couple times. Little sewing kit, got some thread and a needle, which I had to use periodically for various clothing tears and holes that I wanted to patch, but pretty much it. Toiletries. Gold Bond powder. I would put this on my feet after I clean them off at night, and I would also put it on my feet in the morning before I got started. Also used it as deodorant. Works pretty well. 1-a-day vitamins and any other supplements that I'm in the mood to carry with me. Blister blocker, chafe blocker, whatever you want to call it. Can be very, very useful. Of course, toothpaste and toothbrush. This is a bamboo brush. I cut off the little bit of the handle there. Worked fine. On the Appalachian Trail, I let my beard grow, but on the Pacific Crest Trail, I decided not to. So I have a little razor that I would use to trim up, and every once in a while, when I got to a Walmart, like 2 times on trail, I bought one of those electric trimmers, like $20, and trimmed up my beard. Have toenail clippers. Have some little hair bands for my hair, put it in a ponytail. floss, and earplugs, because people snore around you sometimes. Wore a headband. I also wore a cap. I forgot to pull that out. Baseball cap. Sponge weighs virtually nothing when it's dry. And in a single wall tent, some mornings it can be kind of wet inside the tent, and I'd use this to wipe it down, squeeze it, outside the tent. That got rid of majority of the moisture, and then later on in the day, when I had a chance to lay it out, my tent out in the sun, dried really, really quickly. Swiss Army knife. The only thing I use it for is the scissors. So that works fine. I do carry a Sharpie, but almost never use it. But it's there just in case. And last thing that I had on trail, I've been carrying for periods of time a rechargeable mini fan. And when you're boiling hot in the middle of summer, just sweating pouring down you, this thing is a moment of bliss. Every so often, I take a little break with this thing, and it would just kind of revive me. I tend not to carry it the whole trail. I'll get one of these, carry it for a while, and then by the time towards the end of the hike, things are starting to cool off, and don't really need it anymore. It's only 6 ounces, but I'm a weight, gram, weenie, whatever. So I've done 2 of these in hiker boxes in the past, but that's basically it. If you got any questions about any of the gear, pop it down below. I'm going to the Grand Canyon this year and was on the Florida Trail in January, and we'll be hitting the Continental Divide Trail in May. See you out there.